All right, I'll assume we're live. I'm not going to ever look at this again. I think I fixed the bus issue. A couple streams ago, we had some...
bus.
We had an issue where the bus was doubling my voice. So if I got above a certain line, the two buses would actually overload the power circuitry on the mixer.
Bus accident.
And cause distortion.
Bus accident.
Crisscross. I was listening to Crisscross the other day.
Then Spotify.
Because I can say, actually, I just have a bunch of their music on my PC. Because I ripped every CD I owned from high school.
I did not own that CD.
Also,
that was 4th grade, not high school.
Yeah, I still had the CD when I got to high school. And in high school,
I don't think I had CDs in 4th grade.
High school is when I got a computer I ripped everything.
I don't think I had CDs till like 7th or 8th grade.
Oh, I had a Walkman and a CD stereo way early. Actually, my family, I remember we got a rack mount CD to put into the hi-fi system.
I mean, we had the 5 CD changer or whatever, but that...
No, we had this giant rack mount thing that would play one CD.
Oh, yeah, I've seen those.
That was a big investment.
We had the 5-disc carousel.
In fact, the first CD I ever bought when we got the thing was a Vince Giraldi like piano thing. It was all the Peanuts music. All right, I think we're good to go. Spotlight's too bright, but whatever. I can't fix that. We already got someone watching. Okay.
Go away. There's probably a Twitch channel that is more entertaining than this. I discovered a really good Twitch channel today.
Ooh.
There was there's that occasional video like, funny Hearthstone compilation.
Yeah.
So at the very first video of it was this dude who somehow, by luck in Arena, got like a zillion Lich Kings. And I was like, he just kept he somehow got super lucky and he shuffled all these Lich Kings into his deck. It was so great. So I realized, I'm like, hey, I never seen that guy. Usually it's all people you know, like the top streamer people.
Yeah.
Right? But I'm like, I never seen that guy before, right? His name was like Chef Shabba or something like that. So today I went to go check out his channel, and he was actually ridiculously good at Hearthstone. And he was ridiculously good at streaming too. Like he was like, articulately explaining all his moves, and he was making good moves, and he was playing around plays that I would not see.
That's rare, because that's hard to do.
And he only had like 9 viewers, and I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's hard to be entertaining.
Why is this guy only got 9 viewers?
Yeah.
So I started watching him, and then he went to go eat dinner. And then when he came back, he played Fortnite, so I didn't watch that. But I'm sure he'll play Hearthstone again.
I was watching a few PUBG streams a while ago. Good PUBG streams are real fun to watch. Not like ours, where it's just us dying alone in a tower.
Dying alone.
It's us sitting there for 5 minutes, and then
it's me meeting no one, running around and hiding for 20 minutes, and then dying.
Yep. Or if I'm in a squad, suddenly
and not seeing who killed me.
In a squad,
and collecting a bunch of guns and upgrading them and firing not even one bullet.
Oh my god! So before we start the show, I was playing with a bunch of other friends, like Alan and them, and we landed. You know that big ruin on the one map, like the big Aztec-looking ruins or whatever. So we landed there, and no one else landed there.
Okay.
So we all had like level 3 armor. We were like max kitted out. We looted this place for like minutes, and the circle, like it stayed in the circle for a while. And we spent so much time looting and like, we're so excited. And then just suddenly, one by one, we all got sniped from the distance, and that was it.
Yeah, that's it.
We never encountered anyone to really fight.
Nope.
All right.
Gun Collector, the game.
It's Tuesday, October 9th, 2018. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geek Nights. Tonight, the 40 games you must play.
The crab people.
Hey, we got to do the work for the panel anyway, so... Because we're probably doing it at MagFest. All right.
You'll get better ideas.
So all I want to say is that I've said this a lot lately, but 35 ain't 25.
I think, isn't it 39 ain't 29?
You know what? 30 anything ain't 20 anything. So I got my first like legit sports injury that wasn't me hurting myself in an accident. And basically, I probably have plantar fasciitis. Basically, the tendon on the bottom of my foot is angry at me.
A lot of people have that.
Yeah, and you know what causes it? The main things that cause it are being really obese, because like the weight will just mess up your foot.
Being a professional athlete.
Yep. Or overtraining. And I thought to myself, because I went to the doctor, and they were like, have you been exercising more than usual? And I thought back, and yeah, I ran a half marathon literally every weekend for over a month. And the doctor was like, yeah, it'll do it. So I can continue to exercise like that, but I gotta, basically what I'm doing is when I'm doing a really long run, like 10 miles, 20 miles or whatever, I get sloppy toward the end of it because I'm tired. And I gotta either stop before I get sloppy or I gotta run better when I'm tired. And it'll probably go away.
Yeah,
So,
you know, a lot of pro athletes have had that. Eli Manning had it. Some hockey players had it. Lots of people get it.
Because it's really common. And it's caused by overtraining, usually.
No, don't do that.
So either being really, really, really athletic or not at all athletic. And if you're not in one of those two classes, it's really hard to get it. So, yeah, let's get right in. You got any news, any geek bites, any stuff on this Tuesday gaming day?
Yes, there was this game called Interplanetary, which is a game name so generic you can't imagine it hadn't been used yet, but it hasn't, for at least not for a video game that I know of. And it was on Steam for $4 this weekend. Sadly, it's now $15. So what this game is actually so shockingly simple, but I'm surprised it's never been done before, right?
All right.
So I mean, it's worth about $4. I would be sad if I paid the $15. But here's how the game works. Ready? You get a planet around a solar system.
All right.
Your enemies also have planets around the solar system. On your planet, you build stuff, and you have to build, like, everything has to be touching a power plant, and you have these cities you're trying to defend, and everything has a circular radius, and you have multiple cities, and you build things like mines to get resources, power plants to get energy, intelligence, counterintelligence buildings, and then you build weapons, right? And then it's turn-based, but everyone takes their turn simultaneously. So everyone's building, then everyone fires, and then once everyone's ready, all the guns fire. And they fire like fucking scorched earth. But it's not like scorched earth because you're on a planet that's moving. And there's gravity. And
so you fire stuff off, and then it circles.
And there's a star that has gravity, and there's planets that have gravity, and you adjust. And the other thing is, like, your planet is a sphere. Like, what if your gun is on your planet spins, and wherever the planets stop, that's where you're firing from. So you might not be able to aim your gun. You might need your guns on both sides of your planet so you can shoot in the different directions.
This looks pretty up my alley, actually.
And then the only other thing that's in the game basically is basically that plus a tech tree. So it's like every turn you sort of have to decide, like, am I going to spend my energy and my resources my materials that I mined up out of my planet? Am I going to spend them on, like, building a missile and firing it? Am I going to spend it on building new buildings? Am I going to spend it on, right? And every turn, your energy, you get X energy per turn. Your energy output is per turn. And if you don't use it, you lose it. And your materials is sort of, you can stockpile them, right? The other thing about the game, this is like really the whole game, besides this giant tech tree, it's just a giant tech tree where you get better stuff, like better, weapons and better, is that is a little bit of XCOM because you build defensive buildings. I didn't learn this till after many turns. If you use all your energy firing all your weapons, your defenses use energy every time they block something. So you have to just save unused energy at the end of your turn so your defenses actually do something. Like block things that land on you.
So turn-based, real-time? Turn-based.
It's turn-based.
Like.
You spend your turn, spending resources on your planet, then you line up all your shots, and then you push end turn, and then all the shots from all the planets fire at the same time, and then you take another turn.
Because I see it has Hot Seat. This is actually, that could be an okay game to play, like, late at night at, I think
Hot Seat would be intolerable because it would take, if you played with 4 players, it'd take 4 times as long than if everyone had a copy. So at $4, not bad. You got to learn the tech tree. Also, aiming is a huge pain in the ass. It's like super, like, prediction skill-based aiming until I guess you get more advanced weapons that don't need as much skill. But
that's probably good because like Scorch, the problem, or Gunbound.
It gives you this red line that shows you like your predicted trajectory.
Yep.
But that's based on where the planets are now. It doesn't give you any hints about where the planets are going to be. And you can sort of be like, well, this shot is going to take this long to get there. And so it's like if your shot is going slow and taking a long route, the other planet's going to move a lot. And if a guy's right next to you, right? And then the turns end, actually, like, once everyone fires, all the planets start moving, and they don't stop for the next turn until all the shots stop moving or there's none left. So you can actually fire, like, one shot with a super long trajectory if you want the planets to move a lot before the next turn, right? There's things like that going on. But if you like Scorched Earth but wish it was way harder and had a tech tree, and you want to spend $15 or wait for it to be $4 again, Interplanetary is on Steam. Not a total bad game. It's not super polished, but it's definitely unique and scratches itches that some other games aren't scratching.
You know what, though? It also gives me an idea. I feel like we should stream some versus Scorched Earth. Funky Bombs.
I will merve you into next Tuesday.
Well, we'd have to play both low tech and high tech, because low tech and high tech are very different experiences in Scorch.
Yeah.
I have a floppy disk with it.
All right, get Scorched Earth to run.
I will figure out. I am confident I can get Scorched Earth to run in DOSBox.
All right, and get it going. And then...
I'll get it going. We'll make this happen. This will be a good winter project.
Okay.
So, in another Geek Bite, because there's no way to do a whole show on this, but Scott at PAX kept trying to get me to play this trick-taking game.
Who owned it? I forget who told me about it, but I think Roe and Jeremy had the game. I forget.
So.
But anyway, someone told me about it. I forget who it was, and they're like, "You got to play this game. It's a 2-player trick-taking game." So I played it once, and I was like, "Oh, Rim's got to play this game."
Yep.
It's a 2-player trick-taking game.
And I was busy, and you kept bothering me, and then finally I had time.
And I was like, "Rim, play this game. It's like gonna be your favorite game." And he's like, "No, I don't want to." And I'm like, "What's wrong with you?"
I was busy playing other games.
But I was right though.
You were right, because we finally sat down to play it. Now, first off, it is the important part is it is a only 2-player trick-taking game that works.
Is it the only 2-player trick-taking game that works?
I know of other 2-player trick-taking games, but they do not work. But it is a 2-player trick-taking game that works with like Trump, and like it's a full-on trick-taking game. It's fun, it's enjoyable, and more importantly, playing it once, I basically got a perfect score. Like, I got maximum score, and Scott got minimum score.
It wasn't that much. It wasn't that bad.
I literally got, like, perfect score, maximum points every single round.
No, you didn't.
You know what I didn't get? I didn't get all the 7s every single round.
You just got very good score versus very bad score.
There's the score thing. I got the maximum points from that chart every single round of the entire game.
No, you didn't.
I took pictures of it on my phone.
Uh-huh.
But here's the deal. Here's the interesting thing about it. The suits, like the cards of different face values, have different powers, but they're symmetric, so you know. And 2, I'll read this. If you take 0 to 3 tricks, you get 6 points because you are humble.
That's pretty good.
If you take 7 to 9 tricks, you are victorious, and you get 6 points.
Mm-hmm.
If you take 10 or more tricks, you get nothing because you're greedy.
What about 4 to 7?
You get like 1, 2, 3 if you take in the middle. So basically, you want to take most but not all of the tricks, or almost no tricks.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to commit to either one of those. You just got to play against the other person who has the exact same scoring metric.
Right. There's basically, you have an odd number of cards in your hand. It's like, what, 13?
Yeah, I forget how many you draw.
It's or 11.
I played it once and got a perfect score. What do you want?
The point is you have an odd number of cards in your hand. So does your opponent. You're going to play all the cards in some order. Your opponent is going to play those cards in a certain order. And that's the whole game. And you can't possibly take the same number of tricks, so someone is going to get more points than the other person.
So games like Moo and Wizard, like all these other trick-taking games, scratch very different.
And no matter all the combinations of 2 numbers that add up to the total, right? It's like, well, if I get 0, which is great, they get 13,
which is great
bad.
for you.
Right, which is bad. It's like if I take 1, that's good for me, and that means they take 12, which is bad for them, and so on. It's like every possible combination of 2 numbers that add up to the total number of tricks. One player scores well, and one player scores badly. There is no way for both people to score kind of meh.
Yep, and the last piece, the odd-numbered cards, the face values, all have powers. There aren't that many. I'll just read them to you because that's the game.
Like 7 is the crazy one.
Yeah, so like 1, Swan, if you play a 1 and lose the trick, you get to lead the next trick anyway.
Mm-hmm.
That is way more powerful than people might think.
Oh, yeah.
The 3, the Fox, when you play this, you may exchange the decree card, so like the Trump card, with a card in your hand.
Which means not only did you change what Trump is, but now you took that card into your hand.
Yep.
Right.
The Woodcutter, when you play this, draw 1 card, then discard any 1 card face down at the bottom of the deck, so swap cards.
Mm-hmm.
7s I'll save to last because they're great. 9, the Witch. When determining the winner of a trick with only 1 9, treat the 9 as if it were Trump. So 9 can just be like, yeah, I'm Trump now.
Yes, you have a 9 that's not Trump. You play it, it's now Trump, unless the other person also plays their 9, which happened a lot. And then their 9s are just normal 9s.
The 11, when you lead this, if your opponent has a card of this suit, they must play either the 1 of this suit or their highest ranked card of that suit. So hopefully you can see already, like,
hopefully they don't cheat. But yeah, the 11 like forces them to like either lose a strong card or lose their 1. You know,
but you can see, like, these combined, they scratch the same itches that, like, Hearts scratches when I play Hearts with smart people. But the 7, after each trick, the winner of the trick receives 1 point for each 7 in the trick.
Right. So basically, if you play your 7, the other person's just going to play a stronger card and take it and get a point. If you play a card less than 7, the other person can just play their 7 and take the whole trick. Right. So if you're leading until the 7s are out, you basically can't lead anything under 7 because the other person will just play a 7 and take.
So you're in this really interesting situation.
But the thing is, like, you want to use those powers on those cards that are under 7, the 1, 3, and the 5, but you can't use those powers, and of course you'll lose a point because the other person just blew out the 7 and score, which is those points are a big deal.
So it has it feels a lot like playing Hearts. Like, that's the kind of trick-taking game it feels like in my brain.
Yeah, but I mean, when you play the game, it sort of has these 2 phases. Like the first phase of, like, you know, where you're dancing around the 7.
Yep.
And then once the 7s come out, because someone's either forced to make a bad play or someone just makes a good play.
Yep.
Then the rest of the hand is like, oh, everything comes out now. Boom, 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 boom.
Like someone changes Trump because they think they're going to take a bunch of tricks, but then you know a strategy and you end up making them take all the tricks. But the fact that you can go low or high, because that's the real dance. You don't know if your opponent is trying to take a lot of tricks or not.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I take 3 tricks, and it's like, all right, I take a 4th trick. It's like, all right, well, I'm well on my way to getting the good number.
Yep.
Like, you know, like 8 tricks or whatever the good number is.
Now,
but then it's like, well, now I only have crappy cards left. Guess what? You're taking them now. You.
And I cannot stress enough how thoroughly I crushed Scott in the one time I played this game.
Well, you got to not crush. I mean, I didn't win, but the crushing was slightly less than you claim.
The thing is, this game...
The other thing is that in order to be good at this game, you have to be willing to put in the effort to count the cards and memorize.
I kept a full count in my head.
Which was, I don't put in that effort in any game because I'm lazy.
Well, the thing is, you know,
if I did, I'd probably be fine.
This particular kind of trick-taking game is a lot like Advance Wars. Like, it's the narrow set of games that I will go to that effort for. Like, I won't do that in other games. Like, I am not counting every single point everyone took when I play T&E or Y&Y. As much as I want to, I'm not gonna. I don't even remember what's in the Castile half the time in El Grande.
I just remember like a feel. Like, I'm like, oh, every time the Castile goes, I'm like, all right, what, you know, that's like 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Like, uh-oh, a lot of people went in the Castillo this round. Oh, someone went in there twice in the same, right? I'll just sort of get a feel for, like, is it big or is it small? I won't count all the cubes.
So, in other news, PAX Unplugged is actually coming up.
Isn't this meta moment?
No, I'm not. I'm just saying PAX Unplugged is coming up in the news.
Okay.
If you're not aware, it is the tabletop-specific PAX. It's a full-on, 100% regular old PAX.
The schedule is live.
There's a main theater, like there's panel rooms, there's tabletop free play, obviously.
There's RPGs.
There's the Pokemon like tournament league, but they play the CCG instead of the the Game Boy games. It's a real PAX.
The 3DS game.
Yeah. But it's coming up November 30th, and because it's bigger now, you can totally just buy badges. Like, it's a PAX that's not sold out. You can just get a badge and get a hotel. And if you live within a couple hours of Philly, which a huge percentage of all Americans do, it's actually really easy to get to. So in 51 days, 16 hours, 44 minutes, and 1 second, we hope to see you there. But anyway, things of the day. So what do you got?
Is it just a photo? An old-timey photo?
Oh, but this photo's real good.
Supposedly from Russia or something?
Well, so, yes, Imperial Russia.
Right, so the time of the czars.
That guy has my mustache.
Anyway.
The guy third from the right
in the
back.
photo, there are some train tracks, and a gentleman and some other people
Bunch of gendarmes. Some of them have plumes.
Yeah, usually isn't gendarmes French people?
Did you read? It says Special Corps of the Gendarme.
All right. Anyway, so usually you imagine, train tracks. The vehicles that go on train tracks are trains.
Yep.
And also hand cars, like the old timey things you see, like when there's mining, where they push two people.
Yep,
push
two
the
guys
thing.
going dit dit dit.
They push the thing up and down, right, to make the thing go.
I really like those things for some inexplicable reason.
I like them too. Anyway.
I think they were featured a lot in old cartoons.
Oh yeah.
So like they just like. They felt like common knowledge to a 6-year-old.
I saw them in like Western movies and DuckTales.
Yep.
And
so
if
you were a 6-year-old, you just saw hand cars all the time.
Also Looney Tunes a lot.
Yep.
Anyway, the point is this guy, instead of using a hand car, he's got a foot car. It's a penny farthing bicycle, but instead of tires, it's basically train wheels, a big one and a tiny one. And then to keep it upright, there is sort of this tripod mechanism with a tiny wheel leaning on the second rail. And that basically keeps the bike fully upright, even though it's centered on one rail, it's leaning on the other rail, sort of like a sidecar on a motorcycle. And then
this just looks way fun.
I imagine you just pedal this. You can't really fall off. The hard part is getting up and down onto it. But once you start pedaling, it's probably like, all right, you fucking go. You don't need to stop for anything. There isn't going to be a train coming. I mean, like, it seems fucking awesome.
It's a good way to get around if you got to get around for some reason.
But it's like, if these existed, it's like, was this the only one that existed? How come we didn't see these more? It's like, what's the deal?
I don't know a lot about the history of hand cars.
Why are hand cars like so well known, but these are not known?
Other than that, I do know there is to this day a modern hand car enthusiast community of people who build their own and ride them on abandoned train tracks. And I kind of want to do it.
I want to do it. That's the thing I want to do one time, but not make into a permanent hobby.
Yeah. I feel like the way to do it is to go between Beacon, like that long train that goes across all the Metro North.
I'm sure the best way to do it would be to find a hand car enthusiast who knows where to go.
Yeah. Joe, there's got to be a Reddit about it. So my thing today is, you guys know, one of my favorite things, like one of my hobbies, is just knowing about the idea of sovereign citizens. Like those people who are not driving but traveling, and if there's a gold fringe on the flag, then they don't have to pay taxes because of reasons. And there's a whole like thing about them. But this video is actually really fascinating because this is a sovereign citizen dude in a courtroom trying to argue that he doesn't have to pay, like he doesn't have to go to jail for his DUI. But the judge is a judge who has dealt with these people a lot. And he doesn't yell. He doesn't freak out. He doesn't just have the guy tased or like removed from the courtroom. He logically, like he listens to the crazy coming out of the guy's mouth and he responds to it directly and earnestly. And the sovereign citizen guy doesn't know what to do. Because he's like, I am not the person, John Doe. I am the entity, John Doe. Like all this sovereign citizen nonsense. And the judge is like, well, will the entity, blah, 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 tell the person, John Doe, that they are guilty of DUI? And watching this guy like almost have this realization that he can't actually respond to another human being who actually addresses the words that came out of his mouth is fascinating. Like, it's the most, it's the best way to handle someone like that. If someone's crazy and you're willing to address them from the logic of their own crazy, it's a highly effective way to talk to crazy people. But it's very, very difficult to do.
I got a new plan. Don't talk to crazy people.
Yeah, but if you're gonna talk to crazy, well, sovereign citizen crazy people, the specific brand of crazy.
If that sovereign citizen came to Judge Scott's courtroom, I'd be like, bailiff, this is one for you.
You're back into don't tase me, bro. So in the meta moment, we are going to be at PAX Unplugged doing not one, but 2 events. We're going to be doing another Learn and Win session. This time, instead of Carcassonne, we're doing Puerto Rico. We're going to teach everyone how to play Puerto Rico. Then we're going to teach you, like, legit how to be great at Puerto Rico. And then we're all going to play a game of Puerto Rico, everyone in the room. It's going to be a really good time. And we're doing a tightened up version of the 40 tabletop games you must play. And I'm going to up the difficulty level a little bit for it. Because it's PAX Unplugged. It's a tabletop audience. So there's some low-hanging fruit. There's no point in telling these people about. I got to up it a little bit. Get a little more obscure, a little more weird. It's going to be a good time. Otherwise, we're going to be at PAX Unplugged just playing games like the whole weekend. It's going to be great. If you enjoy our anime stuff, you may notice that we uploaded, finally, we did the fall 2018 season of anime. We reviewed every anime that has not yet come out or is coming out just now in fall.
Yeah, we somehow managed to keep this show going for a whole year. It feels like we just like started.
Yeah.
But no, we managed to keep the show going. So if you want to know our complete guesses about what the current season of anime is going to be like and which shows to watch or not watch, then you can watch this video and then tell us how wrong we are. Or
and I'll link to
see how shockingly right we are, because anime are very transparent.
And I'll link to it because if you really want the full Geek Nights experience, you have to subscribe to both me and Scott on YouTube, because a lot of our panels are on my YouTube channel, and the live streams, obviously, you're watching this live stream. At least some of you are.
And we have a Geek Nights YouTube channel, but we sort of, I can log into it, kind of, sort of, maybe. It's hard.
Don't worry about the Geek Nights YouTube channel.
It's all messed up.
Don't. We were early adopters of YouTube, guys, and there's complications of that.
It was G+'s fault, really.
Yeah, which is dying.
Maybe it'll fix itself now.
So if you follow us on G+, I'm not updating it anymore because it's going away.
You don't say.
But if you Scott's channel is where Judge Anime by its cover is, but I will link to it here so you can.
You can also just go to frontrowcrew.com, our official website, and everything is there.
Everything is there, including.
Then you don't have to worry about which channels or anything like that. Everything is in one place,
including the new Geek Nights Book Club book, which is 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I had never actually read. I'd only seen the movie.
Yep. So the deal is basically, I mean, you've heard of the famous, very important movie, which if you haven't seen it, you should watch that too. But I had thought for all this time, oh, that movie was based on a book. No, that is not correct. The correct story of what happened is that Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick worked together on a screenplay while Arthur C. Clarke wrote the novel, which came out after the movie. And I've never read the novel, despite seeing the movie several times. So now we're going to read that novel, and maybe we'll see which Odyssey Rim chooses for the next book club.
Yep, I actually do have something that is reasonably Odyssey adjacent.
Does it have the word Odyssey in the title, though?
No.
Then it doesn't work.
But it is a Dungeons and Dragons book.
No, why are you doing that? Pick something else. What's wrong with you?
I could go Dumas.
Uh-huh.
I mean, Le Comte de Monte Cristo, he had quite an odyssey getting home and getting his revenge. Spoilers, he gets his revenge mostly. So, yeah, that is all the meta, and we're going to get right to the main bit. So, get over to my thing.
This is Rim's Crab People I did.
So, as you know, we've been doing a panel, and even though we have a new panel that we haven't done anywhere yet, called Rare Game Mechanics. We're probably going to do it at MagFest, but we've been doing this 40 tabletop games you must play panel a bunch of times because it's really popular and there's a lot of reasons why people like this kind of panel. But the genesis of that was a long time ago. We were at some PAX. Was it a West or an East? I don't remember. And they had all these game industry people on stage. Some of them were smart, some of them not so much. So I'll put it. Some of them were very knowledgeable. And some of them were only knowledgeable of games that came out in the last 5 years. It's a better way to put it. But they were basically having the audience say a game that they think should be in like the top 100 or top 50 games of all time. And they would take that and put it somewhere in the list and bump something out of the list and like have a whole discussion. And it was a pretty interesting idea.
We were waiting for our panel to start. And it was like 5 industry people, like journalists. And basically, they had an existing list from the last time the panel was run. And I think the rule was basically like each person on the panel puts a game on the list and takes a game off the list. So it was just sort of like this evolving list of whatever journalists were on the panel most recently.
Yep.
You know, and then like I guess they would have the idea was that they would have the panel again and adjust the list every time.
And it was okay, but one person on the panel was really good, and every time it came around to them, they were like, Dance Dance Revolution.
Right.
Counter-Strike.
Everyone on the panel was basically saying dumb stuff, except for the one guy saying smart stuff. It was the Spy Party guy.
Yep.
What was his name? Alex something?
Yeah.
Anyway, the Spy Party guy was like, you know, everyone else was putting dumb games up on the list, and then it gets the Spy Party guy. He's like, DDR. We're like, fuck yeah. Woo. Me and Rim are like, woo. Everyone else in the room is silent.
It's like, what? Why are those two weirdos cheering?
Woo.
Why are they talking about RAM? So we want to do the same panel originally for all games, but then we've narrowed it to tabletop because tabletop's kind of underrepresented still in the broader gaming discourse. But we want to do this panel, the 40 games you must play, which is way harder because that includes tabletop.
The problem is there's more than 40 kinds of games.
Yep.
You could never narrow it down that much.
Which means we're just going to have to make a list of 40 games that are representative of something. So to preface this, because basically we're doing our homework, the kind of research we normally do for a panel, as a show to be lazy and do less total work is what's going on here. So we're going to try to make a list today by going back and forth. And the important thing is the rules are a game cannot make this list just because it was the first of something, just because it is like historically important because of some reason.
I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to say, okay, there's a category of game.
Yeah.
What is the best, most important one in that category?
Yeah, like, is there some, or in the very least, like we say when we do the tabletop version of this panel, is there one or possibly two things we could say about this game that are unique to this list?
Right. And that way, if someone were to play all the games on the list, that person would have a very broad and excellent gaming knowledge and skills and such.
Yep. So, do you want to go first? We'll just take turns trying to put things on this list.
DDR.
DDR? All right. So, since you said it, why?
It's pretty much, I mean, and as long as you don't have a disability that prevents you from playing DDR, DDR is like the ultimate first best rhythm game.
I'd argue it was the first.
It's still the best rhythm game, even though other rhythm games have come.
I would argue it was the first well-executed full-body rhythm game.
Right. I mean,
there were many rhythm games before that,
and it has to be fourth mix or later because it wasn't. I don't know. If
third mix wasn't that good, guys.
No. Well, I mean, even third mix was only a little bit good. First and second, like if you ever go back and try to play first and second mix,
oh, they're awful.
The arrows basically don't really go with the music. It wasn't until third and really fourth mix that they actually started to get the arrows to be on time with the music, to have patterns that match the patterns of the song, right? So, and fifth and sixth and seventh, I mean, they're still good, but they started to add ridiculous, crazy stuff that sort of took away from the purity and elegance of fourth, fifth mix a little bit, even added the holding arrows and stuff. It was really fourth mix was the pure, elegant, and beautiful one, and also had the best music of all of them.
It was also one of the first arcade games I really saw, in the dying days of arcades, where it was one of those games that would draw a legit crowd of spectators. Mm-hmm. There aren't many, well, now there aren't many arcades, but when there were arcades, the only games that drew spectators, not like Mortal Kombat or like the fighting games, because they drew spectators who were waiting their turn to play. DDR drew spectators who were not going to play it at any point. Mm-hmm. They were just watching it. Mm-hmm. I don't think there was any good rhythm game before this that used your body.
No, arcades are basically dead, and DDR is so strong that on its own basically caused a minor arcade revival that is still somehow a little bit stronger than it was after it collapsed.
Yep.
So that's how powerful DDR is.
I actually am going to say Doom.
Why wouldn't you say Doom?
Because, and I'd argue Doom 2, because I think Doom 2 actually has way better level design.
I think you do want to say Doom 2. You don't want to say Doom 1.
Yeah. So the thing is, maybe I'll even break my rule, because I said I didn't want to do the first of anything. Wolfenstein 3D was arguably not really the first person shooter.
I don't think you need to actually must play Wolfenstein 3D.
No, but also I'd argue Wolfenstein 3D is a puzzle maze game.
Yeah, it's mostly
that had shooting.
It's mostly a maze.
Yep.
Right? It's mostly find your way through the maze that has secret entrances and it has keys but
Doom was a puzzle shooter.
You just also have to shoot things and not get hurt so that you can live in the maze.
But Doom 2 was the first real modern FPS, and it was the first multiplayer FPS that was good.
Yeah, well, I mean, Doom 2 was okay, it's still a maze, but it was less a maze than Wolfenstein and more shooting.
Yep. Right. Also, Wolfenstein walls could only be at 90-degree angles, which really limited the game. I know a lot about Doom 2's engine. It is shockingly impressive. Right. And there were so many clones of Doom 2. It's so pivotal to gaming, and it's still legit fun to do a deathmatch in Doom. Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's also an FPS, but it's sort of hard. It's you got to pick just I don't want to pick more than one 3D FPS.
Yeah.
Right? And it's sort of Counter-Strike is a mod, right?
I was going to say Counter-Strike if I didn't say Doom 2.
But it's even Half-Life 2 single player.
Well, remember, this is the crowd people. We're just workshopping the panel, so it's
I'm just saying, pretty much, I think you got to play because Doom is still a 2D FPS, right? I think you got to play at
2.5.
Right, you got to play
it's 2.5D.
You got to play one of the premier 3D FPSs, which is pretty much just Counter-Strike and Half-Life 2.
No, there's Counter-Strike is
Quake 3.
I would argue Counter-Strike is fundamentally different because Doom was deathmatch, multiplayer. It had a there's a lot of things it was doing that were very distinct from what Counter-Strike did.
Yeah.
Counter-Strike wasn't really a deathmatch.
No.
Doom didn't have teams in the modern sense.
No. But I'm talking about you have to have the experience of the real 3D FPS.
True.
Where you aim with the mouse and move with the WASD. Right?
Yep. And also
you can
Doom
jump and it matters.
Doom is so fucking fast.
Mm-hmm.
All right, your turn.
Super Metroid.
Oh, yeah.
You could say Symphony of the Night, but actually, I mean, I think Metroid's a better game and a more replayable game. Even though the map is maybe smaller than Symphony of the Night.
But I wouldn't say Metroid 1 because that game is deeply flawed.
No.
It's good for its time,
Super
but it is deeply
Metroid
flawed.
is still maybe the best game there is.
Yep.
Period. And also definitely the best Metroidvania. And, Symphony of the Night is like, okay, you could argue that one instead maybe, but the Symphony of the Night is more like RPG-ish. It has these RPG elements that take away from the pure and elegant, only Metroid elements of Super Metroid.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't have RPG nonsense like, Symphony of the Night does. I think Symphony of the Night, if they took the RPG stuff out, I think it would be maybe better than Super Metroid.
Yeah.
But it's not. So.
The thing is, though, I really like all those Castlevania level up your sword
it's
games.
Like, well, I mean, like both the games are so excellent games, but I'm just like, I'm arguing over the tiniest difference between the A++ and the A+ game.
Yep.
Right? But yeah,
of course,
if you haven't played Super Metroid, you don't know games.
So then I'm going to do an easy one.
Like, you're not qualified to talk about games.
I'm going to say Super Mario Brothers 3 because it is, I still think it is like, it redefined what it meant to have a tight platformer. Like Super Mario Brothers 3 controls are so, like it's hard to express.
Mario 3, I mean, it's like, people talk about Mario World. Mario World, again, it's like...
Mario World is a fantastic game.
It's another case of A++ versus A+, but it's like Mario 3 is the perfect Mario. It's like, I don't think any Mario since or before has been as good as Mario 3.
Like Mario 2, the Mario 2 that became the real Mario, Doki Doki Panic, was a significant leap from Mario 1. Mario 3 was a significant leap again. Mario World was a significant leap again. Like all those games made radical revolutions to that kind of gaming. But I think Mario 3 was the biggest jump. All right, your turn. This gets hard.
Mario Galaxy.
Oh, I never actually played it much.
Well, so, I mean, basically, it's like you could say Mario 64, right? But the problem is Mario 64 has a lot of jankiness, right?
Yeah.
Even though...
I played the re-release on the
Even though Mario
the DS.
64 was basically the first 3D platformer that was, like, playable.
Yep.
And everyone else had to copy it because all the other ones were just completely unplayable, like complete garbage. Mario Galaxy, it's like all the, there was, in between, before Galaxy, there was like Sunshine, and there was, I don't remember.
I liked Sunshine a lot.
Yeah, no, all those games are good, but Galaxy is still, I think, maybe the best one.
I probably got to play it.
It doesn't have, the kind of nonsense, it doesn't have any flaws or other weirdness. I guess, you could even say Odyssey now, but I think the only reason I don't say Odyssey now, because maybe it's too soon.
So...
Right?
I would say, speaking of too soon, I am legit going to say Breath of the Wild.
Why not?
And my argument is that Zelda, if you're a game designer or like if you're in, like there's reasons why you might want to go play Zelda 1, Zelda 2, Zelda 3. But not everyone needs that experience. I think Breath of the Wild encapsulates the intent of like the original Zelda games with modern execution.
Well, the only thing, it's like Zelda 1. I look at Zelda 1, but the problem is my Zelda 1 experience is tainted because I played it when I was a kid with nothing else to do except bomb every bush, bomb every wall, burn every bush, right? It's like...
Meanwhile, I'm climbing every tree looking for Koroks and shit in Breath of the Wild. Like,
no, but
never changed.
It's not this brute force of using the blue candle, walking off the screen, using the blue candle.
Well, I just think back so much
it's
to...
like Zelda 1 is a design that, like, if you don't cheat and you don't already have everything memorized, to play it now fresh without any guides or anything.
That's a tall order.
It's a tall order for the year 2018, right?
But also you see like what it was trying to do. But Breath of the Wild, like all the things you read about because Zelda 1 was supposed to evoke the feeling of a kid exploring the woods.
And it does.
Breath of the Wild does that. Like Breath of the Wild is
but
the
no
game.
No one will play it that way in 2018.
Breath of the Wild is what Zelda 1 would have been if modern technology existed back then.
Yep.
Like I honestly firmly believe that.
It feels like it gives you that same feeling of Zelda Zelda 1. Like,
Yeah.
you walk up to some ruins, spooky ruins. That's, that feeling you get when you're walking around in Breath of the Wild.
Oh, when I went in Breath of the Wild, when I went into that haunted forest.
You see some landmark out there. You go out there and inspect it, and there's all kinds of, it's like, ooh, that feeling. It's the same feeling I had when, like, I discovered the graveyard in Zelda 1. Like, ooh.
Yeah, when I went into the haunted forest in Breath of the Wild, and that music gets a little weird, and it's dark, and it got creepy, I got that chill that I haven't felt since I was like 7.
Right. Only it's playable. I'm like,
Yep.
Zelda 1 is only playable for me because I can beat it super fast, not speedrun fast, but still super fast.
And I'm going to say it. I think
memorized every fucking thing.
I think Breath of the Wild is the best Zelda game if you take all attributes into consideration.
Maybe.
Others are better at different things, but Breath of the Wild is the most holistically good Zelda.
Are we only doing video games here?
Nope, any game.
Any game? You got to play...
I was trying to think about what tabletop game, what RPG I got. This is way harder than the top 40 tabletop. Like, way harder.
I'm trying to think of sports. That's why
I was thinking about that, too.
What is this? If you're going to play a sport, what is the sport you must play?
Tennis, maybe? Like, tennis could fit. Air hockey.
I was thinking of air hockey also.
Air hockey, actually.
Jungle speed.
I think, slalom skiing.
I mean, there's definitely...
biathlon.
Bowling. There has to be some... It's like, yeah, okay, what is... You think of a sport you must play. It's like, well, yeah, you should play one, but if you must pick
I know
one
what I'd
sport,
say, but it's one of those... But it's not my turn. I got one that's really good, but it's this... You know how in the tabletop panel...
It's weird because like, I could say, like, oh, you got to swim, but you learn to swim, but that, I don't think you have to competitively
Like, I never
swim,
competitively swam.
Which would be the thing that takes it into game and sport.
So I'm going to say something. The one I have that is your turn, so I'm not going to say it. The one I thought of is the same bullshit that happens in our 40 tabletop games where here's a great game that you can't play.
Okay.
I got a really good one.
All right.
That I'm going to say next.
Vampire Tag? Is that what you're
Yes, I was going to say Vampire Tag.
That's not even close to must play.
I think it is must play.
No.
I think it combines.
You could just say tag. Tag is must play.
I just said, you know what? I'll say some form of tag.
You can't grow up into an adult if you haven't played tag.
Dude, we were at a party a couple of years ago where we all these kids started playing tag.
Have you seen the professional tag?
Yeah.
They make like an obstacle course in a square.
Oh my God.
And they put 2 people in and one person.
Those maneuvers with the dude would like spin out of the way as someone's diving for him.
It's basically parkour the competition. It's how long can you go without getting tagged.
Yup.
It's a combination of endurance and maneuverability.
Yeah. Ooh, so if you
I don't think you need to play that, but you do need to play tag.
All right, so
how can you grow up as a human being?
If you went sport, then I'm gonna go role-playing game. If I had to pick one role-playing game,
D&D.
I don't think for this, I don't think I'd say that.
You don't think you must play D&D?
I think in the 40 tabletop games, D&D is definitely on that list. But for games as a whole, I would pick a different RPG.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I might actually on it. I'm really torn on this, but I think I'd say Burning Wheel. And my argument is
I don't think you must play Burning Wheel.
Yeah, because I could take some other indie RPG, but Burning Wheel has the best balance of meat in a lot of different areas and introduces a wide array of role-playing concepts in an interesting form in a way that many indie RPGs are too focused for this kind of list.
I think the problem is that it's like, it's there. You definitely like there's a category of game, and it's like, aha, you definitely must play a game in this category, right? Like I might say you must play a LARP, but it's like, well, which LARP? I'm not super knowledgeable.
Oh,
about
the
LARPs.
listeners giving us ideas now. Anyway,
I'm not super knowledgeable about LARPs. I'm only moderately knowledgeable about LARPs, so I don't know which LARP is the LARP. Like if you ask me which Metroidvania is the Metroidvania, it's Super Metroid, no question, right? But you say which LARP is the LARP. I don't know, but you definitely should play a LARP at some point in your life, right?
We have that preface when we do the tabletop one. I think I need to change it a little bit. I think here, like the first or the most important can matter sometimes, but I think we want to make a point about for a category, it's almost arbitrary.
But it's not arbitrary. There is one that is like the definitive one. We're just too dumb to know what it is.
Yeah, so we say
we're
that.
We're not someone who knows about everything.
So we say that.
No, we're not.
You got to play an indie RPG. We cannot pick the one.
Like, what if someone knew that FPSs existed, but like it's like they're like, well, you got to play an FPS, but I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable at FPSs. How do I know which one's the best one?
Maybe the answer is we're gonna, unlike the tabletop one, we'll change this panel a lot every time we do it. You know what? Fuck it. The way we do it, it was my turn. Burning Wheel. Fuck it. That's the one I put on the list. What do you got?
Tetris.
The listener suggested Tetris literally like a minute ago.
Oh. Good job, listener.
Yeah.
Go.
No, I can't
You
argue
win
with
an
that.
award. Your award is you don't have to listen anymore. Go away.
Tetris is foundational.
The end.
Which Tetris? No, we're not getting into which Tetris.
It doesn't matter which Tetris. A Tetris. They're all Game Boy Tetris.
Yep.
That's the normal. That's the main Tetris. Game Boy Tetris.
So I'm gonna go to a hard game, like trick taking games. We talk about that. I think I'm gonna say Hearts.
Hearts good.
As much as I like Wizard and all that stuff, like Hearts is really like a distilled trick taking experience that has a lot of cultural touchstones.
Mm-hmm. If you're gonna go there, I gotta say,
Uh-oh.
and this also covers basically all roll and move games. See, it is like there's move your mice games, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, you could go to Monopoly, you could go to Candyland, which you don't even make any decisions. You can go to Uncle Wiggly, but you know what? I can cover all of those and get like 2 for 1 by saying you must play backgammon.
Oh,
Because backgammon is roll and move, but also if
the
you
gambling die.
it's also a game of gambling, but also a game of world unity. If you travel somewhere where people play backgammon, figure out what version they play before you get there.
Dude, I have all these photos in my Flickr of just like old Turkish dudes playing it at cafes all over Istanbul.
Yep, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. That's it. These games aren't necessarily good.
I played backgammon with old guys in Israel.
I spent a lot of time as a kid playing backgammon, and while that game does not scratch any itches I have as a experienced, seasoned game design dude, backgammon is still I'm glad I spent a lot of time playing backgammon as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, so we got into tabletop for a while. I should go back into a video game or something. This gets hard to do in a hurry. You think it'd be easier to have a much broader pool
Just
to
think
draw
of a
from.
category and then pick the premier ultimate game of that category.
You know what? Bionic fucking Commando.
Why are you just picking games you like? That's not the It's not the top,
Rearmed.
That's not the top game in any category.
No, but I'm going to say Rearmed because...
It's not the top game in any category.
No, because...
It's just a platformer. You might Mega Man 2 is the same category and is way better.
Name another game in the genre of you can't jump, here's a grappling arm.
You're just picking games you like.
No, Bionic Commando, I don't think... The original NES game you could skip, but Rearmed is both this perfect re-implementation.
I'm not saying it's a bad game. I'm saying it is not the best game in any category.
I'm saying this list has to be arbitrary or there's no way to do it. I think everyone should play.
I say the winner of that category would be a different game with platform. You could even just say the Super Metroid just covers that. You don't even need.
No, I'd say they're fundamentally different games because honestly... I respect Super Metroid.
They're not far enough
Scott,
away from each other.
I respect Super Metroid. I don't like Super Metroid.
Well, there's something wrong with you.
But Bionic Commando, holy fuck.
No,
that was mine. I picked it. You can't stop me.
This is not Rim's favorite game list.
No, it's not. Back at Hearts ain't necessarily my favorite game. Anyway, what do you got? Your turn.
That's how Rim just picks Rim's favorite games.
Got to pick something arbitrary.
Yeah, no, it's not arbitrary. If I say Street Fighter 2.
Oh. Original or Championship Edition?
It does either one is fine. Anything that says Street Fighter 2 on it, between Street Fighter 2 that only had 8 characters all the way up to Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, any one of those, they're all Street Fighter 2.
So why Street Fighter 2?
Because Street Fighter 2 is the main fighting game of all time. Every fighting game since Street Fighter 2 is based on Street Fighter 2.
Not Bushido Blade.
Bushido Blade is not.
I'm not putting Bushido Blade on the list, even though I like it. Don't worry.
Right? It's like, really, you could consider every fighting game after Street Fighter 2 to just be a sequel to Street Fighter 2. Every 2D one. Right?
Ooh, this gets hard. Maybe I gotta go with arcade game that isn't DDR. But there's a lot of arcade games that are fundamental or important, but they're not actually fun, or they could not hold up to any modern sensibility at all. So it gets hard.
It's not. It's a game that it's pick a category and it's like.
No,
okay.
I think we gotta get away from category and treat this a little differently.
No, I think you're just failing. I got plenty. I just pick a category and then I know the best game in that category.
Yeah, best. The category of can't jump bionic arm.
That's not a category.
There's Bionic Commando and there's Bionic Commando
Rearmed.
Rearmed.
Categories of game. I don't know why you're having a hard time with this.
All right, I'll go back into sports, some sort of other sporty thing, because tag is pretty fundamental, but there are other sport-type games, like cycling stuff. Ooh.
You don't need to ride in a race, though.
Yeah,
and
maybe
saying
not.
You need to have ridden a bike if able.
Yeah, because we're not talking. We're talking game.
That's not a game.
We're definitely has to be games. We're talking about games that have some form of competition. You know what? Maybe I'll go with a non-competitive game that's still a game. I'd actually say.
Why are you stretching so deep when we haven't even skimmed the surface yet?
Because I could go something like Dixit, like that kind of game.
No. Dixit is not a must-play game.
Nanofictionary, that kind of game.
No, that's not a must-play game.
I think that's a must-play game. They're very illustrative of fundamental points on gaming. Old console games are tough because a lot of them
I don't know why you're having such a hard time.
No, I'm trying to think of something that breaks from. I see a lot of paths to go. I'm trying to find a new path.
I could do like 10 in a row.
All right, then I guess I'll go arbitrary again. Let's go back into tabletop. Let's pick a Euro. I think if I had to pick a Euro, like one of those Euros, I'm gonna come back to Tigris and Euphrates.
Why wouldn't you? That's obvious.
Yeah, because it's the one. Why we haven't played enough to understand. T&E has stood the goddamn test of time.
That's right. All right. Let's see. Walk Sideways and Hit Things games. Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage is kind of bad.
What Walk Sideways and Hit Things game is not bad?
Yeah, that's my point. Why do you need to play one to know?
I think you need to play a Walk Sideways and Hit Things game. You should play Streets of Rage, which is the best one and has the most bumping music.
Why not River City Ransom, which has much more game?
River City Ransom is an RPG and is not like all the other Walk Sideways and Hit Things games.
All right, so along those lines then, sport games, like console or PC games that are like the football game.
Super
like that
Tech
kind of
Mobile.
No, it's my turn, and I'm going to say
Tech Mobile,
ice hockey. Because ice hockey is...
I don't think you even though ice hockey is good, I don't think you must play ice hockey.
I'm going to say something, though. Name an actually better ice hockey video game.
NHL 94.
That game's not good. When was the last time you played NHL 97 or whatever?
94 recently.
Yeah, do you remember? What's different? I don't remember 94. I remember 97.
NHL 94 is the best one.
Is it?
Yep.
Is it really?
Yep.
Is it better than ice hockey?
Yep.
If we were going to play an ice hockey game right now, you'd rather play that?
Yeah, why not?
Because I don't remember NHL 94.
Ice hockey is not. It only looks like ice hockey. It's a great game. It's fun, but it's not. It's not actually like super.
Oh yeah, NHL 94 is before they changed the views. All right. I can see that, but I'm going with ice hockey because it's such a pure, direct. It's in that same category as like Super Dodgeball or Windjammers, like those very direct competitive games. All right, your turn. We don't have to go till 40. We're gonna stop when we hit the end of the time here.
All right, Mario Kart.
Oh, which one? Because honestly, the original Mario Kart is not worth ever playing.
Well, I mean, if you ask Scott, it's Mario Kart Super Circuit for the Game Boy Advance.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you.
But that's the best Mario Kart because of the skill. That's the skill Mario Kart.
I'm putting that whole one down in detail.
But
Super Circuit GBA.
But the I think you just really doesn't matter which one. The N64 one I'd say is the worst. So it's like, and the SNES one, even though it was the first one, is not good. So pretty much anything after the N64, the Wii or the GameCube or the Switch or the DS or any one of those is fine. All
right. I'm going to say an arcade game, like classic arcade, and I'm going with Dig Dug.
Dig Dug?
Because Dig Dug, we haven't dealt, like the bottom is not really dealt.
Dig Dug is our game, but I mean, I think Space Invaders over Dig Dug.
I think Dig Dug is more...
Or Galaga over either one.
Yeah, I feel like they're different.
Yeah, they are. But the thing is, back in those days, every game was different, right? So you can't just be like, oh, you have to play every single old classic arcade game because each one was unique.
Yeah, but that's why I got to, at some point, I arbitrarily pick one.
I would arbitrarily pick Galaga over Dig Dug, even though Dig
Dug. But I feel like for a modern person with modern gaming sensibilities, if you sit them down from a Dig Dug,
Galaga,
they'll get more out of the experience than they will out of Galaga.
That's because, until they realize you can capture a ship, then the eyes will be like, oh.
Yeah,
Galaga.
But there's been a lot of modern shmup remakes.
Or just fucking Pac-Man, Ms. Pac-Man. Ms. Pac-Man's better than Pac-Man.
Is that yours? You want to put that on here too?
No, it's saying you should replace Dig Dug with Ms. Pac-Man.
I will say Ms. Pac-Man is objectively better than Pac-Man, like in every possible way.
Obviously.
In fact, actually, the Atari 7800 Ms. Pac-Man is way good. Like, way good.
It's not as good as arcade Ms. Pac-Man.
Anyway, I said Dig Dug. We can do like a couple more, and then we're going to stop.
What are the categories we got here? I just did racing. And that's right. Mario Kart's better than all your Forzas and your Gran Turismo garbage.
Yeah.
I'm going to say...
Not that F-Zero wasn't like revolutionary, but...
You got to play Final Fantasy VI, bitches. Or Chrono Trigger. It's a tough call.
Yeah.
Let's say Chrono Trigger.
I think Chrono Trigger because Final Fantasy VI...
It edges out by the tiniest bit.
Here's why I'd say Final Fantasy VI does focus a lot more, if you play the legit version at least, like 4 and 6, a lot more on, there's a lot of like tactical level up stuff and like strategy and fighting, and it is way longer. Chrono Trigger has a lot more emotional resonance per unit time spent playing.
You got to play Chrono Trigger.
Yeah. Like Chrono Trigger is such... I saw a great essay a while ago.
If you're going to play one JRPG, it's Chrono Trigger. If you're going to play 2 JRPGs, it's Final Fantasy VI. And if you're going to play 3, it's Paper Mario Thousand Year Door.
Nah.
And you don't need to play any other JRPG garbage.
All right, we've gone on for basically an entire Geek Night show, so I think we'll just stop here with the list we arbitrarily came up with
your crab people
so far.
Show. Why don't you play some games?
Hey, you got some shade for a particular choice you made in terms of Streets of Rage here.
What's wrong? What sideways and beat things up game is better?
I'm gonna let's see. Let me go back to this here. 2 wrong in a row for Scott. Let's see. Streets of Rage, but not Streets of Rage 2. What the hell, Scott?
That's right. Streets of Rage 1 has more bumping music than Streets of Rage 2.
Actually, Streets of Rage on the GBA was
not that the music in Streets of Rage 2 is non-bumping.
The Game of Gear. You know what? We're gonna do one more and then we'll stop. I am gonna say Advance Wars because that genre culminated and ended with Advance Wars, and no one's ever been able to make something better than Advance Wars.
Yeah. Civilization, any one of them, even one doesn't matter.
Yep. All right, we're getting there. At that point, you're starting into we got to take like Master of Orion or
Mule.
Civ?
You don't got to play Master of Orion if you played Civ.
Yeah, I think
Mule.
that's true.
You must play Mule.
True. All right, we'll stop because I'm running out of steam here and I'm tired and hungry.
I got all the steam. I can keep going. I'm more knowledgeable than you.
Boop. All right, good show. We're done.